Famous last words. I'll find out later that I'm not recording any of this. Here we go.
Okay, kids, let's go.
Must redo it.
1 week off and I forget how to hit the buttons.
Have you
What
felt
happens?
it?
Do I have to?
Oh.
Hello, what have we here?
You guys are so funny.
These guys suck.
You guys
Oh!
are real drunk.
Oh, get off the podcast, you moron!
Sorry, man.
Found someone you have, I would say.
We don't care about your thoughts.
May the force be with us. Fucking A.
Good day, Galaxy. Rogue Squadron Podcast.
Good day. Happy afternoon.
Happiness is everywhere.
Happy February. Happy Super Bowl. Happy wintertime.
Headed to the Hoth system we are.
Yeah, man. Actually, well, yeah. Yeah, we are.
It's going to get bad. I heard the high next Sunday is 9. The low is negative 11. So we are on our way.
Oh boy. Is it going
It's
to
already I don't know. It's already pretty cold. Average. I mean, we usually have some cold stuff that happens in Ohio, but
Yeah.
teens is, it happens, but to get down to negative 10, that sucks.
Yeah. I noticed it last night. It hits because we have to let the dog out at the end of the night, and I'm usually just in like shorts and a hoodie or whatever. So last night was the first night I walked out in shorts, and I was like, "Oh my god, what am I doing?"
My gibbles.
Yeah.
They're dunking in the snow. What if they hangle in the snow?
Yes, that's the day that I know that we're shifting into real winter time. I'm always surprised it doesn't hit until February in Ohio. We got snow, but it hasn't been like really cold until just now.
Yeah.
So
Here's your weekly weather report.
Time to grow the Wookiee chest hair out.
yeah.
Get it furry.
Yeah. Is that
So-
for when you go bare chested through the snow?
Is it bare chested or Wookiee chested?
So that either way, I think. Depends on what planet you're on. Is this Earth?
What planet are we?
Where are we?
We have a full episode for you,
Yeah.
morons, today.
I want to send my condolences out to Turkey Sandwich because I think his people lost the Super Bowl. I didn't watch. I think he was sad. Sorry.
Yeah, no comment. That was a crap game.
Really?
Yeah, it was not worth watching. If you're just, if you're a sports fan, you want to see a good game. It was
No.
one-sided the whole time.
Well,
One team
yeah.
didn't even score a touchdown.
Yeah, that's never fun. That's
So-
not what you want. That's not what you want
Yeah, you want to
in the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, you want to shoot out. You want some craziness to happen, and it was just slaughter. So, good day, Galaxy. I have a list today because first of all, we were off last week,
Yes.
so I wanted to kind of keep track of my thoughts and ideas and truths. I only speak truths. I only speak truths now. So,
yeah.
but I do have some thoughts on the Terminators. And I
Interesting.
rewatched the first one,
Okay.
and I thought, you know what? Just to tickle Commander's scritch, I have to go back to back and watch T2 and really try to absorb both of them.
Yeah.
So I do have new thoughts and kind of just an analysis of the movies and how they differ. And my overall thoughts. So we'll dive into that here pretty soon. And then Birds of Prey, we can touch on like right now if we want to. And then I have a word game for Commander that we're gonna play at the end of the show.
Are we about to do an episode that has nothing to do with Star Wars?
WandaVision. We can also
Super
talk
Bowl,
about WandaVision.
WandaVision, Terminator, Groundhog Day, Mass
icicles.
Effect, Birds of Prey, weather, Star Wars is dead. See you guys next week.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get. There's no more Mando. There's no anything. There's no video games. There's nothing. There's a lot
There's
on the
High
list.
Republic, which I still haven't finished.
That's true, and that's my fault too. I have I booted it up. I bought the book, opened the book up, closed the book. I didn't want. I was just. You have to be in a mood, man. You got to be in a mood. So
I hate saying that. Are we bad fans? We need to have an intervention on ourselves right now.
no, you get. It's too much. You get too much, and I that's why I think WandaVision is really itching my scritch right now because it's not like the standard let's go beat up bad guys
Yeah.
stuff. So I think it is different enough that it can toe that Marvel line and superhero line, but still be, different. So
Yeah. Oh, I am definitely in a Marvel mood right now. That's for sure. WandaVision has been cool. I've been going back and rewatching some other stuff, and then I know I think it's just a week off, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier comes out on Disney Plus, if I remember correctly.
yeah, that was the first time I ever heard of it. We probably talked about it on the show at one point, and I just completely blanked. But I don't recollect anything.
Well, we actually skipped the Marvel announcements when they did the Disney investor call.
Oh, yeah,
We
I
did all
definitely
the
missed.
Star Wars stuff. And we're like, hey, we'll tackle Marvel next week or the week after because we're balls deep in Mando.
Mhm.
But we never did. So we might have to touch on some of that today. But yeah, I'm kind of on a Star Wars hiatus, and I'm definitely balls deep in Marvel. And what else has been on my mind lately? Stephen King stuff still. Yeah.
I'll throw you for a loop. What have you been listening to? Anything different?
Music wise?
Yeah.
Well, podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube channels, music,
Listening.
soundtracks.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, John Williams.
John Wayne.
John Williams,
Happy birthday.
the greatest composer of all time. I know he's listening.
With one of the most standard names of all time.
Jonathan Williams. John Johnson. Yeah, happy birthday to John Williams. I didn't catch the age. Sorry, I just saw it on Twitter. But the best composer of all time. I think we could all agree on that. All right, so where was I when I lost my train of thought? Listening. You asked me if I've been listening to anything. Yes, Every Time I Die, I put out a new song,
Oh, okay.
which they gave as a bonus about a month ago to anyone that joined in their Christmas live stream, which I didn't because I wasn't free when they were doing it. So I missed out. And now it's publicly available on Spotify to everybody. So it's called AWOL. Matt Williamson. I know you're a Every Time I Die fan. And also that Dungus from Canada, I think, that emailed us is an Every Time I Die fan. So
Okay.
check that out on Spotify. It's called AWOL. It's dope. Savage.
Nice. I went back to Zeppelin and I listened to Physical Graffiti over and over and over. And I think it's my new favorite Zeppelin
Good album. It's a good fucking album.
There's a lot there. And even the in-betweens, In My Time of Dying and some of the lesser known stuff is just fun.
That one's got some super, super underrated tracks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's, the Trampled Underfoots, the Houses of the Holy, 10 Years Gone. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones on there. So Wonton Soup.
Yeah, dude, Wonton Soup is... Wait. Is
Wonton
it not,
song.
I was going to say, you just... Oh, my
Good album.
God.
Good album, though. Yeah, I always obviously go back to like Zeppelin 2, Zeppelin 4, Houses of the Holy, but Physical Graffiti's a little later, and it's still fucking great. And then just as far as metal after the burial, I've been
Nice.
metaling it out with them.
Nice. I went to look at the track listing because there's one song that I absolutely love that I always forget the name of
10 Years Gone.
till I hear. I know that one. Yes. No, it's The Rover. The Rover is like a super underrated track on that album. Also off of the music discussion, I've been listening to a lot of my BT Bam vinyls, which is a small collection which is growing rapidly. I have Alaska, Automata 1 and 2, and Great Misdirect, and I'm gonna get the rest of them one at a time over the course of the next few months.
Yeah, I've always wanted to build up like a record
Yeah.
library, but it's just too expensive. I don't know how often I would use it, and it takes up a fuck ton of room, and it's like
It is. Yeah, it is a little bit of a hassle. I think if I didn't have all of my old ones from my parents, I probably wouldn't have started. But it just feels a different kind of way having the vinyl on than having your headphones or your Bluetooth speaker or something.
Yeah.
I can't exactly explain it. And I don't even have a great system or anything. I mean, vinyl, people that are obsessed with vinyl will go crazy on the preamps and the amplifiers and the tubes and the receivers and the speakers and everything. Like they'll go tens of thousands of dollars on these setups. I just have a small little preamp and a $100 turntable from Audio Technica, and it still sounds great. It's just different. I like it. So
different medium. Yeah, it's fun to always go back, but yeah, I've been you know, I always listen to metal. It's all over the place, but it
Yep.
transfers from folk metal to Viking to weird shit. To I said those two and then weird shit. Like those two aren't weird enough, but it's all fun stuff. But then I always have that like classic itch that I wanna. There's always like a Sabbath album that's in the back of my mind, or a Zeppelin, or the Doors, or Floyd. Which actually I've been kind of burnt out on Floyd as of recently. I haven't really listened to them that much, but well, I say that, and I think like last week I listened to all of Dark Side, so it's whatever.
That did it. That caused the burnout. You know, you can only listen to Dark Side 975 times.
Burnt out. So
I just randomly had a Doors song pop in my head earlier, so I might have to put that on the vinyl later today when I get back.
cool.
Yeah.
Let's jump into Birds of Prey. I think this will be a quick one because I know you had mentioned some of your thoughts before I saw it, and I know we skipped last week, so I figured I'd just run through it.
Yeah.
I thought it was super fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually like a decently like well-made movie.
Yep.
It kept my attention. You know, the bad guy, Black Mask, was cool. I thought Obi-Wan did great, and he really felt like unhinged. Like I had no idea what he was gonna fucking do.
Right.
He was like smiling while cutting people's faces off, and you're like, this is a little Joker-esque. Like this is weird.
Yeah.
And you never expect that out of Obi-Wan. So,
everyone's just Obi-Wan.
everybody. Yeah, and I thought the comedy was also great. Like,
It was good.
and they carried small stuff the entire like film, and then dropped it at the end. Like Harley Quinn got really mad right at the end. She's like, "You killed my sandwich," because she was so hyped about that egg sandwich that she had at the beginning of the movie, and someone knocked it out of her hands.
Yep.
And she took revenge because
Fuck yeah. I
it
love
was
that.
yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of cool notes like that.
Yeah, and I also just like I thought it stayed in its lane. It didn't go outrageous with like the action or the powers or like superhero shit. It was just like her rambling through New York, and it was like that's fine.
You mean Gotham?
Oh,
Same thing.
yeah.
Just alternate reality.
That's just the sixth borough. Yeah.
Yes,
Gotham.
exactly. I agree. I don't have anything profound to say about it. I thought it was fun. I think fans of superhero movies have gotten caught up, much like fans of Star Wars things, in the idea that every superhero movie has to be some groundbreaking cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I think we're just now getting over, I think COVID and having to watch things at home we've gotten over that a little bit. And especially with things like WandaVision, and now all the shows are coming to Disney Plus instead of just in movie format, we can go in and just enjoy a superhero flick. It's a fun little ride with Harley Quinn. It doesn't have to be some crazy interconnected universe or anything wild. So it was fun. And it's just a thing.
Yeah, it stayed in its lane. I love the characters. I love the character intros. How it was narrated by Harley.
Mm-hmm.
And how she would just explain who this person is to her, and that's how you learned how what this person was, and it was like, this is fucking perfect.
Yeah, like she was a narrator. Yeah,
and she narrated the whole movie, but she also obviously did like the character intros. If someone popped up, be like, this guy's a douchebag, and blah blah blah, and you're like, perfect, I get it. Like, this is awesome.
Well, you can also imagine her narrating her own self in her own head.
Yeah, it just made sense. I was very happy with it. I didn't expect anything out of it, and Undle the Grundle, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it was good.
So it was nice to really showcase Margot Robbie too, because I felt like Suicide Squad got like it started off well with her, but then it like pulled way back and it became something else.
Yep.
And this was just a nice let's just watch her sit on the couch and eat donuts with her hyena. Like, fuck it, this is fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how they also played up how silly some of their names and powers and outfits were.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Huntress, I thought was really interesting, like the whole backstory with the mob family and everything.
Yeah.
But every time she tried to just introduce herself, it always failed because it was just so silly.
Yeah, what do they keep calling her? Like
I can't remember. I'm a bad fan.
The bowcaster, shoot arrow woman. What the fuck is that?
Shoot arrow woman. Crossbow.
Crossbow. The crossbow. You're the crossbow killer.
Crossbow lady. Yeah.
Goddamn huntress,
Crossbow
bitch.
killer.
Yeah, it's fun. I liked it. The other small thing, I did really like the intro of the whole movie, how it was cartooned,
Mhm.
and they had the Joker in it. And I was like, oh man, this feels like 90s Batman, and she was wearing the traditional 90s red and white Harley Quinn stuff with the Joker in the cartoon part. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
touching some part of me I didn't know needed it. So I don't know what the fuck I'm talking
You're
about.
talking about getting touched so much here on this podcast. We're gonna get a cease and desist from YouTube.
Oh my god,
We're gonna get copy stricken.
been struck.
Off of that same note, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that they put the Batman animated series on HBO Max. I don't know if you watched any of that.
I've gone back sequentially, quarterly, and watched one-off episodes of that, and it did not hold up for me. So I did not return.
Yeah, I was very excited about it because obviously nostalgia and Batman, and that was the same era of all my toys and Batman Returns and everything. And I tried to watch the first few, and it was just,
You know,
it definitely has a style, but I don't know. I can't go back and do it. It was one of those things like, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
you know, I don't particularly remember absolutely loving that show, even as a kid. Like, it's nostalgic, and like going back, it's like, oh yeah, I used to watch this. But the only thing I really remember from the animated series is Clayface. And I always remembered him like forming different things and being like such a weird villain. And I was like, this is cool. Like, this is way superhero-esque for Superman, or I'm sorry, for Batman.
Yeah.
But I was like, Clayface, this is fucking weird. And that's the only thing I really truly remember. And I always remember like rooting for Clayface. I was just like, I just want him to beat people up. Like, he's unstoppable.
When you say Clayface, all I can think of is the dude in that fighting game for N64. Clay Fighters.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't
Tiny.
it
Tiny was the bulky guy, but he was a little, yeah.
Well, wasn't there like a clay dude in there?
There was a Laffy Taffy guy.
Laffy Taffy, motherfucker.
And there was Ichabod and the singing lady and Blob. And God, I don't know.
But who's on the front of the freaking cover?
Oh, was there a Clayface guy?
Sorry, I guess not. But when you say Clayface, and then I just think of that Clay Fighters.
You know what's weird is I just Googled, Clay Fighter 63 and 1/3, which like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, that's
So anytime you've ever talked about Clayface on the podcast, I've thought of this.
that's so weird.
I don't know why. That's what I thought of. It's like the Abominable Snowman clay thing with the top hat. Is that what that is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's where my brain has been going.
How weird. I'm clicking on characters here. So that's Mr. Frosty. So that's bad Mr. Frosty. He's a snowman with a bad attitude. I'm just going to run through the characters here. So there's Blob, who's just a blob of clay. Blue Suede Goo, who's an Elvis impersonator.
Great.
Bonker, who's a maniac clown. Helga is the obese, heavily breasted opera singer.
They had to add both of those.
Ichabod Clay. We have Taffy, Tiny, and the N Boss, who I don't particularly remember.
Wow. Ichabod Clay. Oh yeah, I do remember this. What kind of times they were back then, man?
They just said, "Fuck it."
They were throwing
Let's
everything out there.
I like that. I like that.
There.
There's just unlimited opportunities. It's just fun.
Yeah. So my Batman villain knowledge obviously is basically non-existent because I've been picturing an abominable snowman every time you talk about Clayface.
Have you ever looked up Clayface? He's just a bit. He's basically Jabba the Hutt, but buff. He's just a big brown like blob, and he can turn into whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, I see it now. And was he in Arkham, one of the Arkham games? Because now I'm kind of remembering it from that.
I actually don't think so.
And he also kind of reminds me of Sandman from Spider-Man. Or what's his name? Is it Sandman?
Sandy. Sandman? Anakin?
Man, What a
Man.
crossover event that would be. That'd be Anakin's arch nemesis.
Sandman versus Anakin.
Yeah.
Fight.
Anyways, off of the DC stuff and Harley Quinn and whatchamacallit, did you see? I shared in the chat the tweet from Zachary Snyder. I'm just gonna pull it up.
Yeah, just bring it up. Oh my God, look at that face.
So, that's actually not the original tweet. Thanks a lot, Collider. Thank you.
That's what you shared. I remember seeing that picture.
I know, but that's not the caption. Hang on. Zack Snyder Joker
Justice League
tweet.
Joker.
Because Zack Snyder just posted it and said, "Amazing character you created. Honored to have our worlds collide." Picture of the Joker. He tagged David Ayer, the director of Suicide Squad, and Jared Leto. That's all he said. So I'm not following the DC news very closely. I don't know exactly what that means. Is he going to be in the Snyder Cut, or how could they have put him in the movie if they didn't film him with the movie?
Are they like filming new stuff for the Snyder Cut? Is it like
they are, but to a certain extent, because they had so much unused footage. I think a lot of what they're doing is just editing and adding special effects and things to the footage that was unused to kind of remold the story.
Nice,
so to speak.
I did not expect them to add new stuff and or add anything. I thought they were just kind of revisiting it and making it.
Oh no, it's going to be quite different. I mean, they added what's his face is in there. You know more about DC than I do. I don't know what his name. Who's the big bad guy, like the Thanos of DC?
Darkseid.
Yeah, so he's in there more than just a cameo, and they're totally redoing the suit and the look of. Oh God, I can't remember anyone's name today.
Darkseid wasn't even featured in any of it. You just saw his like symbol in the desert in the flashback or flash forward, however the fuck you want to look at it.
Yeah.
We see Steppenwolf.
Thank you.
Is yes, which is like the number one guy.
He's got a whole redesign, and then Darkseid's going to be in it, and now it looks like Joker. And I think I heard more Green Lantern stuff than there was originally.
Oh yeah, just load it up, make it a 6-hour movie, a half-day event. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So that was interesting. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that, but now, and people I think are also asking for a new cut of Suicide Squad as well.
Stop it.
Which isn't awful.
Stop it.
I'm worried.
More Eminem, please.
Well, a cut without that song in it at all, I think.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine that movie just with a normal score? Like how much it would change that movie? I would like it a lot more.
Well, I was gonna say I think throwing in the pop songs for the soundtrack will fit. It was just that was a terrible choice and a terrible cut, and they chopped the song up so weird. It was just jarring. I think it can work. That was just a very bad example.
Yeah, we'll see.
So who knows?
Cool.
Yeah, Birds of Prey was good.
Birds of Prey was good. I'm happy with it. You guys want to hear my thoughts on Terminator?
I'm curious what prompted this. I know we were playing Overwatch the other day, and you said something, and you wouldn't tell us what the details were, and we just
hold
went,
out.
Ooh, Mopa has thoughts again.
We watched a movie.
Oh, did you make a list, you bastard?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just kind of, I wanted to sit down, and just focus on one thing, which sounds dumb, but we're pulled in so many. But we're pulled in so many directions, media wise, whether it's Star Wars or DC or WandaVision or all this shit. And I'm just like, you know what? What do I want to focus on? I was like, Terminator.
Robots.
I haven't actually sat down and watched Terminator and dissected it as a full adult, a half adult, sure, but
pre-adult.
and I don't think I've ever watched them back to back, even within the same weekend. It's always been years apart, whether I'm in the mood for it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I plugged in the first Terminator. It's worse than I remember. And I'll get into why. Well, I'll just let you guys know here. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
It's old.
It is. I went to look up the date because
it's old as fuck.
I know that those Terminators have a lot of years in between them. So
7
it's
years.
84.
And you think about 1984 and you're like, we were talking about little Ewoks in the redwood forest,
Yeah.
and that's where the special effects ended.
Yeah, that's a year after. Wow.
And it's only a year after. This felt closer to Contra than it did to like Mass Effect. You know what I'm saying? Like Mass Effect's you're very integrated, very like you're just living in another world. This felt like Contra, almost like a Rambo. Like it just felt really dated, and all it was killing. This is a horror movie. And I still stand by that. This is two adults running for their lives, and this murderer, which just ends up being a machine, will not stop trying to murder them. And he's killing people along the way with the same name, obviously.
Yeah.
So he's straight up murdering people. There's
like
no
Halloween.
children. There's no children in the entire movie.
Yeah.
And it's all dark. Part of it is, the special effects were bad, so everything happens in a closet and so dark you can't fucking see what's going on. But yeah, it just when I was thinking about it, it felt less sci-fi and more horror, closer to Contra than like Star Wars.
You keep saying Contra, but Contra's not like.
I don't know what I mean by that. It just feels old, like it's simplified.
It does. I mean, it does remind me of Contra. You're not wrong. I just don't know where you're pulling that relation from. But yeah,
well, why do you agree then?
I don't know. That's what I mean. I can't explain it, but I am going through some of these stills from the movie on IMDb, and I'm like, yeah, I want to play Contra now. I don't want to watch this movie. I want to play Contra.
It was small stuff like the text that shows up at the very beginning is supposed to be on a computer. And it was like the old green screen text. And it was like, man, this is old for old.
Like pre-MS DOS.
Yes. It was like it was old military computers that don't work. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? And that's maybe where it was pulled from. The text that came up, I was like, whoa, there's like text like that at the beginning of Contra. And for you guys that don't know what Contra is, it's an old NES game. It's a side-scrolling. You just basically shoot. But yeah, it just felt closer to that than anything. I did a couple other of my bullet points. It didn't age well for many reasons. The special effects were bad. The makeup department was horrendous. Like it's laughable, which sucks because it is like a borderline horror movie. Right. And you're watching this shit and he's like cutting into himself, like fixing his eye or something halfway through the movie. Yeah. And you're like, dude, this is Clayman. Like, what the fuck is happening? It looks so bad. So
face for real.
The other thing I wrote down was it was one of Arnold's first films. Mm-hmm. I think he did Conan before that, but other than that, so his acting, even when he's supposed to act like an idiot, it was choppy. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I put specifically effects weren't special. They were not special at Ire.
Well, I don't want to say that I'm happy that this is your reaction to the movie, but when you brought it up while we were gaming and you didn't say anything, I was worried that you were going to come back and say that it's better than T2, and then I was going to have to fight you with it.
I haven't ended. I haven't shit on T2 yet.
Oh shit. Oh god. Okay.
No, but up front, they're two completely different movies.
Absolutely.
I'm so surprised they put them back to back. Like it feels almost like a different universe. They just carried over Arnold, and it's a way brand new again. They just kept character names, and that was it.
Well, Cameron wrote himself a nice little loophole there where he made the sequel 7 years later, so they just set the whole thing 7 years later, and then they made the T3 was like 2001, so they just set that one in 2001. It's not like they had to do a direct sequel like a year after the events of Terminator 1, which is good.
Well, it has to happen much later than that because her son's like 16 or 15.
Well, wait,
and he was conceived in the first one.
Oh yeah, you just talked me out of my own thing. Wait, so
there's got to be like I assume like 15 years old in T2.
Does it say that it's set in 84?
No.
What?
I don't think so.
All right. So yeah, timeline of Terminator movies. All right. So maybe I just made everything up.
Yeah. So I'll jump into T2, but yeah. So the essentially the first one is a horror film with two adults running for their lives and murder. That's all that you get out of it. The T2. There's comedy throughout. It's based on a kid, and it's based on a kid having like almost a comedic relationship with this Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very 90s.
Yep.
Arnold by then was a much better actor. You know, he had been in it for a decade or so.
Yep.
The dynamic between the enemies was flashier.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I say that? Oh, because it's not a human against a Terminator, what we had in the first one. It's a Terminator against a Terminator.
Right.
So now it's even fucking bazang bazoom, even better. 1991. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
Also, I wrote down that it showcases LA much more. Like
Yep.
it all happens in very LA-esque settings.
Yep.
Like all the car sequences, it's like, oh yeah, clearly they're in LA. Look at what the fuck's happening.
Yep. The mall, the Galleria with the arcade
yeah.
and everything. Yep.
Yeah, the first one literally could happen in Gotham City. You don't fucking know. You have
Right.
no idea where you are.
It's like RoboCop style. It's like weird dystopian,
Yeah.
like cyber future, not future, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Industrial and everything.
A lot of stuff. So they basically planted the seeds through conversation in the first one, but you see those storylines and those seeds put into motion in the second one. All the Cyberdyne stuff, all the stuff that you heard about in the first one, it's gonna happen, happens in the second one. So it's
Right.
like you really start pushing like the broadness of the story forward. It's cool. It really pushes everything forward. They really push the boundaries of the special effects.
Yeah.
The futuristic tech. The liquid guy went, while I still hate the idea of liquid metal.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me. They use it in cool ways when he like walks through the jail cells.
Yep.
Like, oh, he's stuck now, and then but the gun stays behind, and he's like, what the fuck? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's fun.
Special effects were fucking phenomenal. I remember there's a few moments where it's still dated. Like when it's just like a bodily shape of liquid metal and then it forms back into him, or it's like oozing through things, like looks a little weird, but the majority of the time, man, it was blowing me away last time I watched it. And off of your note earlier about like the makeup special effects when he was cutting his eye in the first one, in this one, when he rips the skin off of his robot arm, I thought that looked fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was. They really pushed the boundary, and it almost like set a new, like the way Jurassic Park did in the 90s, set a new standard. I felt like maybe 1991, this was the standard. You're like, holy shit, they can do this.
Yeah.
Then Jurassic
Amazing.
Park came, and then you get into like episode 1 and that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool. Also, I put the futuristic tech we use in cool ways. So I walked through the jail cell, and they jump in that elevator, and he uses his arms, lengthens them out, and then like does that like prying thing. I was like, what the fuck is
terrifying, man. Back in the day, that was so terrifying.
Yeah.
And he's on top, and he's just like using his like knife arm and just slashing down into the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's cool. And I also like the Sarah Connor is she's crazy. She's put in a fucking psych ward, and then exactly what she thought is happening, and you're like,
yep.
It's a cool little aspect that she's not just like living out in the desert being a crazy person. She was actually like caught, and like no one believes her, so it's kind of cool.
Also, just like such a savage ending sequence when it's just an excuse for Arnold to just have as many guns as possible. And the grenade launcher and the minigun and the helicopter and like all that is just so fucking awesome.
It was like built for a video game. Like just throw as many guns and as many car chases as you can. We'll put miniguns and rockets, and then it's like, this is gonna be such a cool game. Like, they weren't even building it for the movie anymore. They're just like, yeah, throw more in there.
But I remember, hey, here we go. The reason that I thought of Contra is because I used to play the fuck out of Terminator 2 for Super Nintendo. So when you were talking about the first one and you were saying Contra, I was thinking of Contra 4, whichever one was for Super Nintendo. Okay, now it all connects.
Gotcha. Yeah. Side-scrolling shooters. You're like,
Yep.
oh yeah, let's go back to it.
I don't think it was a very popular game, but I was obsessed with Terminator 2. My dad was as well, and he found that for Super Nintendo and bought it, and he was so proud of himself because
He didn't even realize what he bought.
knows nothing about video games. Like he calls Mario Mario, and he calls Nintendo without the N at the beginning. Pokemon is Pokemon. He's clueless, but he
Yeah.
saw Arnold on the cover on his bike, and he's like, Terminator 2, that shit is awesome.
I got that. There's a
Yeah.
motorcycle in that one. I got it.
Surprisingly, he got the correct platform. He didn't get me a Genesis game by accident, but yeah, I played the shit out of that game.
That's hilarious. Kerner says the shotgun reload in T2 on the bike is unprecedentedly.
Yes.
Dude, I was watching that. I was like, you know how much balls it takes to even like attempt that? And he's a
Dude.
fight Terminator's going like done, boom.
It's one of the coolest things ever. I remember being a little kid and I had my BB gun and I would always try to figure out how to reload it that way.
And just
Could
you're
never do
smacking
it.
yourself with it. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, could never do it.
That's hilarious.
So cool though.
Yeah, I mean that's in a handbag. Yeah, it just again such glaringly different movies,
Yeah, absolutely.
different
And
styles.
They're all
diff-
very different.
Yeah, well, I thought the second one and the third one were very very close because there's more relationship building. The first one really again, two characters. One's just from the future, and the other one is gonna be a future mother, and that's all you know. And they're gonna be murdered.
Right.
Go run.
Try to not get murdered.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, admittedly, the second one's a much better film, you know, and much more watchable. I think in my mind, I kept clinging on to the first one because I like the horror. I like the everyone's going to die clearly because everyone's dying.
Mhm.
I even, you know, what's funny is I even Googled the kill count and there's almost 100 people on screen that are murdered in the first one.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
God, that's
He shoots-
so much.
Everybody's killed in that entire movie, and that's why it just felt dire. Like the second one is, I wouldn't want to say the second one doesn't feel dire because it does feel like everybody's losing regardless. But yeah, I think that was my mental cling onto the first one is because I like the horror theme.
Well, second one's got more lore. Like like you said, the second one is more based on the story that's actually unfolding in the Terminator universe, quote unquote.
Yeah.
More details, what Sarah's doing, Skynet, Miles Dyson, all that shit.
Yeah, it really pushes everything forward. Everything happens in the second one. The first one just kind of sets everything up. Yeah.
Great performance by John Connor, though.
Yeah.
The kid actor. That was a great performance.
Yeah.
I did look this up while you were chatting. T2 is set in 95. So John Connor is 10 in T2.
What?
So it's a couple years before or a couple years after it actually came out. Yeah. So he's 10, which I always think people, kids in movies and in books act and look way older than they actually are. Because I don't know. I guess whenever I watched that, I always thought he was like 15, like you said, but no, he's 10.
I still think he was probably 15 because he's
Well, the
riding a
actor
dirt
probably
bike.
was.
Yeah.
But it's storyline wise, it takes place in 95, so he's 10.
Gotcha.
So next on your list, you're gonna go ahead and watch Terminator 3?
I might. I actually remember liking that one a lot, and a lot of people talk shit about it. And I was like, I thought it was fine.
I like where it wants to go. I like John Connor's arc. I guess it feels to a lot of people, me included, that they're just recycling all the stuff that worked from 2 without anything very new.
Yeah.
Like once again, we have Arnold as a good guy and a new Terminator that's even better than the other one.
Yeah.
Who has to fight Arnold. Like the other one was liquid. This one's liquid and she can control cars and stuff.
Yeah.
And the end of the world is happening again at the end of the movie. Even though they stopped it, it's still happening again. They just delayed it. So it just felt like, very, very similar. But there's a lot of stuff in there that I do dig. I think seeing Skynet as an actual thing is really cool.
Yeah. I thought it ended in a kind of decent way. Because isn't that the one where like the girl's dad's working, and her dad actually like
Turns it on.
turns it on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
Claire Danes' dad. Yeah.
and she's left in that bunker under fucking Everest or some shit.
Yeah. They end up in a military bunker. And they were like, I don't understand. I thought we did everything to prevent this. And they were like, you were never able to prevent it in the first place. You just had to get to a point where you could survive.
Yeah.
And be around to rebuild once it all goes down. So
It's also crazy to think. So this is the weird loophole with all the entire Terminator series. It almost cannot happen. It almost cannot happen because what we see in the second one is the Cyberdyne Systems bases their technology off of the Terminator that was sent back from the first film. Because remember, they have his arm in that display case in the company.
And the microchip.
Yeah, and the microchip. They wouldn't have that unless the Terminator was sent back.
Right.
How was a Terminator going to be sent back if that technology was never here?
Right.
Where are we?
That's the crazy thing about all time travel movies, though.
Yeah, no, I get it. And again, you're not gonna prevent it. You're either gonna delay it or survive it or die. So I'm sure, even if that one didn't get sent back, it was gonna happen regardless at some point somehow. So
Yep.
yeah, it's just a weird loophole that they like put in probably unknowingly. You're like, oh yeah, we'll base the advancement of into the Terminators on the one that was sent back, and you're like, well, that can't happen unless the first Terminator's already built.
Well, I don't think it was the advancement of the Terminator. I think it was like no one believed Sarah, but they did find that technology, so they used that to just research and make new things. I don't think they had any idea about Terminators and killer robots and everything.
They might have just advanced the technology, yeah, and come closer to the Terminator, yeah.
It's like you find the microchip, and then you're like, I'm going to build a tech startup based off of this. Kind of like that. You know what I like to watch is like some sort of physicist or something try to make sense of time travel and explain it to me so my dumb brain can understand it.
Yeah.
I would be curious.
Tommy Boy said there's also already a paradox. Reese comes from the future based on John, who already exists, but Reese is John's dad. So how did that happen already?
Right.
John Connor wouldn't be there unless Reese had already gone back.
Right.
Unless it's just a loop. Like once it happens once, it's ultimate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you change it forever. You can't go back to the way it was. I don't know.
Well, it's like the whole Tenet thing where it's like you can't let your past self see your future self. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know where that came from.
That's in every movie, and no one knows why. Probably just high five myself and keep on.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, if John. Wait a second. Yeah, this makes no sense. So, Kyle Reese is let's say, a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
Goes back in time. Falls in love, but saves Sarah. They bang and conceive John Connor. But when he gets sent back from the future time, when John Connor is 30, that means Kyle Reese is like 60. So at that point in time, when John sends him back, wouldn't Kyle Reese be like a grandpa?
No, because if Reese went back as a 30-year-old, conceives John at 30, let's say they're the same age. Kyle Reese is also being born at the same time that he's like banging Sarah Connor.
Oh, okay. So I went the opposite way with it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Still doesn't make any sense, but
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, he's a 30-year-old baby. I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how all that works. So,
well, you could say funny. I would say it doesn't make any sense.
Which is kind of funny.
I wonder how much they thought about that, especially back in like 84. I wonder if
not one
James
idea
Cameron was like, fuck it, Arnold's killing people, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, more guns, please.
Destruction, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. So what's the verdict? Is Terminator 1 better than Terminator 2?
better. T2 is a better film by far. There's more to it. So
Awesome.
yeah, and it's hard to sit here and say that I enjoy T1 better because there are very bad things that happen in it. I think I still latch onto that horror film.
Yeah.
And I do like the dynamic between the enemies. Like it felt dire. It was just humans against a murder machine, which is impossible to kill, theoretically. So it just felt more dire. In the second one, you got your own murder machine. Like this is.
Yeah, but he's outdated, man.
Oh man, and he still wins.
That's like the computer you had when you were a kid going up against the computer you have now, and it still comes out on top because he's perseverance and he falls in love with the kid
Because he's persevering.
because he's persevering, and then he cares for the kid and he goes above and beyond to keep him safe.
He can't care for the kid. He's a Jedi.
The whole kind of robot Jedi, the dynamic between Terminator and John Connor, I love. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're both great. They're both great in their own way. T1 obviously just is super dated. There's a lot of nonsense that happens in that movie, and you're like, whoa. Even the very beginning scenes when they show the war at the beginning, you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, you can see the guy's hand holding the plane. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, just miniature action.
That's the immediate, like, because they show the war in both of them.
Yeah,
I think for like his little flashes. And man, is it just day and night? You're like, whoa, we're no longer using Lego sets. This is cool. This is brand new.
I remember the only thing I thought was weird in T2 was when Sarah has that nightmare of Judgment Day actually happening, and it like melts everything in LA, and you can tell that it's just like a miniature set version of LA that they just like fucking torched. That's like one of the only spots I was like, oh, it's not that great. And
Yeah.
she's like a skeleton hanging onto the fence, and the fence is like rocking back and forth.
Yeah. There's still going to be those scenes, but yeah, it was fun. It was nice to go back and revisit that. Like I said, I don't think ever in my life I've watched them like back to back by any means. So
Congratulations.
it was nice to do that. First time in my life.
Nice.
Why aren't you guys clapping? Clap for me. Thank you, Mo.
Time Boy gave you a flame and a thumbs up.
Why's that?
Well, for congratulating you for watching them back to back,
Hell yeah. Go me.
and hopefully for voting for two is better than one. We were worried you
Wait
were
till
gonna
I come
go the
back
other
and
way.
wait till I come back and say 3 is tops them all.
I would like to hear your argument for that.
Right. Take notes, please.
I also haven't watched officially the 2 most recent ones. One of them being Genesis, where they fuck with the timeline even more. They go back to the 80s again. And the other being Dark Fate, which is the one that James Cameron is actually involved in. I haven't seen either of those.
Me neither, and that's my fault. I've heard good things about Dark Fate, that it's like it goes back onto the original timeline, so it's good. So
Yeah. Oh, he said he was doing the end of T2 in emoji form. Yeah, I get teary at the end of that one. Definitely. Every time. When he's getting descended into the liquid metal to burn up, and he gives a little thumbs up. Real sad.
yeah.
Real sad.
Oh man,
Chill out, dickwad.
chill out, Dickwad.
Good shit. Congratulations, Bopar. I'm proud of you for watching 2 movies back to back.
Yeah. Bought Rush Hour. I know we mentioned that I bought the trilogy. That was almost what I was looking for, comedy wise. I was like, there's just
So
something
good.
in my life missing, and even Caddyshack wasn't doing it for me. And I looked at Rush Hour. I was like, fuck,
It's so
that's
good.
it. It's so
It's so good. I don't know what it is. The chemistry, like the formula. Rush Hour 1 and 2 are both so good.
good. And even better than the movies themselves are the blooper reels at the end of both movies.
Yeah.
They're the greatest things of all time.
That's why it was in my head, because for some reason, whenever we play Overwatch, we just keep quoting the bloopers. I don't know why, but we just did it so much. I was like, okay, and it's time to revisit these. And yeah, they're both amazing.
Oh my god! When Chris Tucker like refers to Jackie as Jackie in the movie, and he's just, oh my, Don Cheadle's not like, his name's Lee. God damn it! I was like, God damn it! I love this movie.
And Jackie's reaction, and he's so chipper and happy, and in his broken English, it's just so charming.
Yeah, it
So
is.
charming.
And
always
I
dreamed
love
to
him-
Square Marvin.
Yeah, Square Marvin. And like when he Jackie again. That's what Jackie again. Stop it.
You waste all film.
Chris Tucker. It's one of those like those good guy, bad guy cop movies.
Buddy
They always-
cop,
Yeah, but it's like we have the Rush Hours, we have Men in Black,
Yep.
and then we have Shanghai Nights. They always did with Jackie Chan actually again and Owen Wilson. There was always that like duo thing at the end of the 90s that
Yeah.
they just
It's a buddy cop and it's a fish out of water at the same time.
yeah. Kanto Han. Yeah, those movies are good. I'm excited to actually watch the third one to see how bad it is. But I bought that whole trilogy, and then I completely am blanking because I bought the Men in Black trilogy as well. I'm blanking on the third Men in Black.
I actually was listening to Revenge of the 90s about Men in Black 1, and they were talking about the third one, and I literally said, I didn't know there was a third Men in Black.
Yeah, I don't, because the second one is they're trying to get Kay back. And
Yeah, because he decides to retire.
Yeah, but they need his info, something that he knew.
And Rosario Dawson is the new agent, right?
Yep.
And then, 3, I don't remember at all.
Yeah, I'm blanking. I don't know either.
Well, I guess you'll find out pretty soon once you watch them all.
Oh, sure.
The other thing I watched last week was Groundhog Day in honor of Groundhog Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was one of those that I've, like, growing up, I never watched.
Oh, really?
It was more recent, like within the past 5 years I watched it, and it's good. I just don't have those retro
Nostalgia
ties
memories,
to it.
yeah.
Yeah, nothing that ties me to it. So
That's what keeps me watching it every year. Because it's not awful, but it's not on the same level as like Ghostbusters or a Tommy Boy or anything like that. It's not like Dumb and Dumber. It's not that good. But it is entertaining, and obviously anything that's tied to get me to watch a movie all the time, all you have to do is tie it to like a holiday or a big event, and I'll watch it every year. I watch Groundhog Day every year. I watch Home Alone every year. You know,
Yeah.
it's that simple.
it's that simple.
It's that simple.
Oh man. Yeah.
Speaking of Men in Black, and I also never watched the newer one with basically Thor and
Thor.
Valkyrie are partners in Men in Black International or whatever. I never saw
Yeah.
it.
I have no desire to see that one.
Mm-mm.
Really none. I feel bad
Reboots
saying
can
it.
be good, but they can also be really bad.
You know,
Like they can be charming when they're done well, but they're really bad.
what was Will Smith's launching point? Was Independence Day before Men in Black?
I mean, you got to go back a little further to Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. No, I'm talking movie wise, because I want to say Men in Black. The first one was before Independence Day. Are you looking that up at all?
I can try to look it up, and I can tell you when I find it.
Will Smith movies.
Will Smith. Boopity doo, boopity doo.
Actor. Let's go back here.
Men in Black was
Independence Day,
97. Independence Day was like 95, I think.
96. They
96, there
were
we go.
one year apart. Interesting.
But if I go all the way back, we got, let's see.
He's been in a lot of
Bad
stuff.
Boys was 95, so it was probably Bad Boys.
Yeah. It's true.
Yep.
Sure.
Independence Day, Men in Black, Enemy of the State, Ali. He's a fucking savage, man.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
People like him, Will Smith, Jamie Foxx, like, man, they're just so talented. They
Don
don't deserve
Cheadle.
to be that talented. Don Cheadle. I do love Don Cheadle.
Yeah, Hitch. He's been in some cool stuff. I Am Legend, Hancock. Yeah.
What are some good reboots that you can think of that are actually good?
Oh, I could name them all. Batman. Every Batman that's ever been is a reboot.
Yes, that's true. Don't count Batman into it. I'm talking about like, they bring the Men in Black back.
You know, one that I can't speak personally, but I have heard really good things is Jumanji. I've heard really good things about the newer Jumanjis, and that's the last thing I would have ever thought would be good.
Jumanji? Do you say Jumanji?
Jumanji.
Jumangus?
Jumanji, right?
Jumanji.
Jumanji.
Jumungus.
No, that's a different one. I'm talking about Jumanji. Jumanji, whatever.
I know, tomato. That's just funny. I've never heard someone say Jumanji before.
Superman. Superman's another reboot.
Well, get the
I
superhero
know.
ones out of here, though. They don't count.
I'm actually going to look that up. Best reboot movies.
Well, I just did in the article that I found. It wasn't that good because half of them were superhero movies. It is one. It part 1 and part 2 definitely,
yeah, it's better than
absolutely. It was a made for TV, so I guess it doesn't count. But it was a pretty detailed production, though.
I'll tell you one is A Star Is Born. That was really good. Ocean's 11, really fucking good.
Oh yeah, I love those Oceans movies. Well, I guess all right. With that line of thought, what I would say is they did Oceans 11, 12, and 13, and then they did Oceans 8 like a year ago. So
There's other like Disney stuff that like The Parent Trap they redid in the 90s with what's her face.
I mean, every Disney movie is a hero's journey. I was watching Moana, and I was like, not that this is a bad thing. Moana is a great movie. I love it. The music's amazing. The Rock is awesome. All the actors and singing is amazing. But if you really break it down, every Disney movie is hero's journey with the princess as the main character.
True. It's true. Yeah, I mean, you can look at all the new Disney movies. The Jungle Book, all that shit that they've redone.
Oh, yeah. True. I keep forgetting about those.
Yeah. Honestly, so do I. I thought they did a great job. Even if people didn't like them, like people hated The Lion King, I was like, I thought it was fine. Whatever. They added like one weird singing, like one weird song, and I was like, whatever. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast was pretty good. I started watching Aladdin on a flight, and I just turned it off. I couldn't do it. I never saw Lion King reboot.
Aladdin was a good one. Yeah, that I didn't like.
I heard bad things about Mulan, mostly probably because of the COVID. So they released it at home and still made you pay for it to watch it. That was probably why.
True Lies was a reboot.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
I didn't know
Yeah, that's. I'm on Collider, and they did like a top 25. True Lies is number 8. Speaking of Arnold,
Nice.
yeah, Arnold has a crazy. He had a crazy life.
Yes.
All that he's done.
He's a savage, man. What can I say?
Yeah, The Mummy was a remake.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, they just did a new one with Tom Cruise, which I would say is a reboot of the Brendan Fraser one, which is one of the best movies of all time. If I can really say that. It's so good.
Oh man.
So are you going to buy the Mass Effect Legendary Edition the day it comes out?
Of course. Yeah. I am also very upset for you Mass Effect fans. They are not doing the multiplayer part of it. Am I mad? No. Do I understand? Yes. Am I disappointed? Yes. Like, come on.
Yeah.
They literally they could charge me $30 separately. I'd pay $60 for the reboot, and I'd pay $30 separately to just get the multiplayer. If you want to write it down, Mopar, it's a deposit of $30. If that incentivizes you fuckers over there,
Yeah.
to start the remake of the multiplayer.
I wonder if they looked and saw how many people are still active on the servers for the current one and were like, oh, there's only like 1,000 people that play it. It's not worth our time to redo the whole thing. I mean, I do understand that it's a lot of work. So if they have to save time and cut something out, I guess I understand that. I was just really excited for them to have a new multiplayer component, fresh, updated.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Oh, Rogue Squadron podcast is the best journey with a princess.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which one of us is the princess and which one of this is the animal sidekick, though?
The animal sidekick. I don't know.
Every time.
All the times. So let's sprinkle in a bit of Star Wars in here because I think that's some reason we're tied to that somehow. So I put together kind of a word game. Now this is going to be a word association game for Commander.
Okay.
This is going to
Word
be very simple.
association. You gonna say
Very
something?
simple. I'm going to say a word, and you don't have to like. Just think of the first like Star Wars thing that you associate with it. Don't put too much thought into it. We'll give you like a couple seconds to come up with what comes to your mind. This isn't trying to get the most random, but like I'll say a word. Like for example, we'll start off with the first one here.
Okay.
You ready?
No, but here we go.
Starfighter.
Assault.
Okay.
Starfighter Assault. Battlefront 2.
No, I get it. I was looking for a Starfighter, but I'm going to take it because that's your answer. But simple
Are you putting
enough.
all my answers into a blank sheet like a Mad Lib, and you're going to
Yes, I'm getting I'm getting your answers tattooed on my knuckles. Yeah, so it's going to be quite simple. We're going to run through these. I got about 10 of them here. But yeah, the first character, the first whatever that comes to your mind. Let's run through these.
Okay.
All right, number 2, droid.
C-3PO.
C-3PO.
That's a really
over
boring
R2.
answer.
Interesting. Yeah, you failed this. These are going to get pretty icky pretty quick. We're going to dive in deep. Villain.
Vader. That's too formulaic. God
Okay.
damn it.
Comedian.
Lando.
Ooh, weird.
I don't know where
Planet.
that came from. Camino.
Teacher.
Yoda.
Interesting. Hero. Mm-hmm.
See, I thought of something right away, but I didn't.
What was your
like
first thought?
The answer. The first answer was Luke Skywalker.
Because he is the
I know, but I was like, I don't even like him that much. I want to pick someone else.
Well, that's what my point is. I don't want you to think. Just what? Okay.
Also, I'm so in love with everyone in the chat also answering, and now I don't know which question they're answering.
Yeah. We'll keep going here. Battle.
Droid.
Okay. Animal.
Space tick.
Space tick. Evil.
Palpatine. Again, I hate my response. It's too obvious.
And badass.
K2SO.
Nice. Annoying.
Jar Jar. Only because I already said 3PO earlier.
Interesting. So some of these I was like, he's gonna say this. And 2 of them specifically, which I thought were pretty deep cuts, were villain. You, like up front, you're like, oh, that could be Palpatine, that could be Dooku, that could be Vader. But you really think about it, Vader's the only villain in all of Star Wars. I don't care. Shut up. There's bad guys. But like Vader's the weird one that I don't know what in my own mind, at least. When I said villain, I was like, he's going to say Vader because Vader's the right answer. I don't care. But it's weird because I guess the association is when I said villain, you didn't say Palpatine. But when I said evil, you did say Palpatine.
That one, yes, that line of thought does make sense to me.
And it's weird because it's almost like Palpatine isn't a character.
He's a presence.
He's a presence of evil.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's weird how it plays out. It's very weird because Palpatine controls Vader. Vader's the villain, but Palpatine's like the like almost the inner evil played through Darth Vader. It's weird how that plays out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any all of them were Revan.
Yep.
Comedian Revan.
Yep.
He says some funny stuff at the.
It's true.
Remember?
Yeah, he is. You are all these things, Revan.
When I said droid, I'm surprised you said 3PO. I assumed R2 would be the first one.
Well, so is there a Mad Lib that I'm gonna hear you say? from all
No,
these
it was
answers? No?
it's literally just association I wanted to see because there was like obvious ones, like I just said. When I said villain, immediately in my own mind, I thought Vader is the only answer.
Yeah.
Like I can understand if someone else came up with something different, but Comedian Lando was actually a little loop for me. I assumed Han.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. That one was totally random.
Um,
And
but yeah.
Starfighter Assault was just, I mean, it literally is the first thing that popped in my head.
Yeah. Well, okay. If I would have said Starfighter now,
So see, now I'm thinking too hard about it. Now I'm thinking of a Starfighter, and I'm just gonna say,
well, which was
the
the first one that
X-wing.
popped in? X-wing,
No, literally, Assault is the first thing that popped in my head.
Starfighter. So
Starfighter Assault. Yeah, obviously.
that's more of a word association than which is
Battlefront
what-
2.
Battlefront 2. Yeah. I feel like if I would have heard Starfighter, I probably would have said TIE Fighter
Yeah,
or X-wing. Like those two would be at the top of my list.
yeah, X-wing versus TIE Fighter for sure.
Teacher, when you said Yoda was a little different, although Yoda's on my background right now, so that might have been part of it. But Obi-Wan.
No.
Obi-Wan was the first thing that popped into my head when I thought
For
teacher.
teacher, interesting.
Yeah. You need a teacher. Although that was the second one. You need a teacher. And then Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, yeah. I thought of Yoda, and then I immediately thought of Jocasta Nu, even though she's not a teacher, but she is an old, supposedly wise person at the Jedi Temple. That's the second thing I thought of.
Oh, I see some of our answers. So Starfighter, Tommy Boy said X-Wing. Droid, R2-D2. Comedian, Shinobi goes HK. Villain, Vader.
Nice.
Yep.
Those are the answers that you wanted, isn't it?
Well, no, it is. He did say so. The planet, he said Tatooine, which I think is the one that we do associate most with Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
He also said Yoda as a teacher, which that's episode 2. Yeah, it's 2 and 3 technically.
And
He's a teacher
1.
and 1. Yeah, I mean that's what
And
Yoda
5.
is. He's a preschool
And 8.
teacher his entire life. So teaching all the younglings.
And
Battle of
5 and
Endor.
8, yeah.
Battle of Endor, and then Animal Tauntaun. Evil is dark side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Badass was Han Solo. Interesting. Annoying as Jar Jar.
Who did I say for badass? Oh,
You-
K2SO.
You said K2, which I'm happy with that too.
Yeah, it's a random one though. Usually, if you were to ask me like who's a badass in Star Wars, I would probably say Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren.
Qui-Gon Jinn's badass too.
Yeah, there's almost like an essence about badass. Well, like, so there's two different ways of thinking badass. There's badass, like Axe, which I think fits the K2. He does some badass shit, and he has a little bit of chip on his shoulder, even as a droid.
And he's snarky. I guess I kind of equate badass characters with being snarky.
Yeah.
Han Solo, Qui-Gon Jinn, K2.
Yeah. Badass is, well, part of it can be attitude. Yeah. And but the other part of it, like, what do they actually do? Like, Vader does some fucking badass stuff, but he doesn't talk shit. Well, he kind of does.
Oh, yeah. He talks plenty of shit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird what we associate. And hero, I assumed everybody was going to say Luke.
Yeah.
It's hard to say otherwise. Like, you even thought about it for a second, hating your own answer, and you still couldn't think of another fucking. You're like, oh, who's a hero in Star Wars? Oh, God.
George Lucas.
R2.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we made Tommy Boy say he wants to watch the Star Wars films again because of the word association game. So good job, Mopar.
Yeah.
You're restoring people's faith in franchises. One
Terminators.
episode at a time.
Terminators are reborn. Birds of Prey is decent.
Yep.
And
Time
this
to watch
little,
Star Wars again.
little thing called Star Wars. Yeah, and I wonder if I would have limited it to different trilogies, if our answers would have been different.
Probably. Well, again, I'm trying not to think too hard. So I unconsciously probably just would have said stuff from other trilogies without thinking of it. So
I feel like Starfighter, I probably would have said Naboo if it was for the prequels. Droid, I definitely would have said R2 for the prequels. Villain,
Maul.
prequels. Yeah.
Maul, for sure.
You know what's weird is Grievous is a one that comes in mind too, because you get a lot of screen time with Grievous in the Clone Wars stuff, and he's such a psychopath.
True. Very true.
Comedian in the first one, Obi-Wan, just hammered half the time.
Yeah, see, now I'm thinking too hard. I don't know. Comedian in the first one.
Dax. Watto was actually a decent one. That's sad because
Even though
the
he's a
second
fucking
one
slave owner.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the comedy in the first one is all through Jar Jar, and that's why it feels weird because he just gets too much screen time. They
Yeah.
try to make it too comedic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the second one's a dark movie too.
Yep.
It's almost like they just do comedy through the conversation. Like you're supposed to laugh along with the characters. Yeah.
Not the right choice.
So K2's the badass, huh?
Yeah.
Who's the badass in the prequels?
Anakin.
Anakin, yeah. Or honestly, like Padme comes to mind too, because she's just always defying everything.
Yeah. Actually, when you said hero, that she was one of my like the second or third thing that popped in my head was Padme.
What's interesting is we didn't say Leia for any of these. Now that I think back, like it's hard to say hero and you go straight to Luke, but Leia is balls deep into the fucking rebellion much longer and does much more for everybody.
Yeah, I would put her for badass.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would. Yeah. Yes, and yes, Tommy Boy says Darth Maul only has a combined 10 minutes of screen time ish in the live action movies, and he still has such an intense impression. Yeah, I think about that a lot. I mean, that's the power. It was a good performance, obviously. And it was a momentous movie because Star Wars was back when people didn't think it would ever come back. So Phantom Menace, for as much as people shit on it, I think had a very important place for the time that it was. So that's huge. But I just think Star Wars creates characters and planets and ships that just have such a personality. It's like unlike any other franchise. Like I love things about Mass Effect and so many sci-fi and fantasy things, but like you don't get stuff like R2 and Darth Maul, and like the Millennium Falcon has a character, and like Dio and BB-8 in the new ones. Like you can see something and you just know that it's from the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
You know what I'm noticing in all of this?
No.
Is none of your answers are from the sequels. Not a one.
Do I subconsciously hate Star Wars?
No, I think it's what you're used to.
I mean,
regardless, the sequels are new. So, like you talk about Star Wars, there's decades of our life that we didn't have the sequels as an option to answer any of these. So,
right, exactly. Like I
you
will
still said
probably
K2 is badass.
True, I did, but I will never see. I don't think it's possible for me to watch the sequels as many times as I've watched the originals and the prequels. Because that's 20 years of watching those movies like nonstop. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna catch up. So
Spance here has a good question. How do you guys think the sequel trilogy would be viewed if the prequel trilogy hadn't been made?
Same shit. People are gonna fucking shit on it right now, and then in 10 years, everyone's gonna love it when the new one comes out.
Yeah, but if the prequel trilogy didn't exist, if we had the original trilogy, let's say it still came out now, so it'd be like 30 years later.
Yeah.
I think people would love it more. I think people use the prequel trilogies as a reason to hate, and it like put a seed in people's minds that Star Wars is no longer good, regardless of what goes forward.
Yes.
And I do think it ruins people's fandoms
yes.
in their own head going forward.
I agree with that, but I don't think it has anything to do with the quality of the prequel films at all. I think it's just the fact that here's my Star Wars thing that I love. 20 years later, it's different. I hate it.
Yeah.
I think I think regardless of how they made the prequel movies, people are going to feel that way no matter what.
Sequels.
Either.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think I have a feeling that people might like the sequel trilogy more if the prequels didn't exist, because the prequels are such a glaring difference in style, in everything, that the sequels take it back and into a simpler realm.
That is true.
The prequels are such large universe, large galaxy, a lot of shit going on, so much shit on screen. Even Lucas says it.
Yeah.
The prequels or the sequels take it back to that original trilogy feel. It's about these 4 characters that save the day, and let's go do that. So I kind of have a feeling that if the prequels didn't exist, people would actually like the sequels better, which is weird because can't you just take it and like look at it by itself? People associate stuff so hard tied. Jar Jar sucked, so episode 7 has to suck. So
Right.
let me watch it to see how much of it sucks. You're
I
like,
just want to reinforce how much I hate it. Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly it. So
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible that they would like it more. You'd have the Palpatine thing making 0 sense because the only way Palpatine in 9 makes any sense is because of the prequels.
not really. I mean, I get what you're saying, but like the fact that they name dropped the Clone Wars in the first one, it's like that's the tie right there. Like there was the technology at some point. You don't need to see that fleshed out.
I guess, yeah.
I do think so. I would be interested to see if they straight up kept going. Let's say 1985 episode 7 comes out and they just went forward.
Yeah.
I think it would have still been one of the biggest things ever.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it was that old and they did it right, Star Wars would have just taken the fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Even though it already did.
it did take the fuck off. Yeah.
I'm just saying it was ahead of its time, and that was the time to do it. Waiting until 99, stuff like The Matrix, stuff like Jurassic Park, and even T2 already exists. So you have something to compare it to. Back in the 80s, there was nothing. You had to T1. You're comparing it to that? Do you see the fucking Clayface dude? Oh my God. No, I think timing's a lot. Obviously, like comparing Star Wars stuff now, you got to compare it to like the DC movies and Marvel and that sort.
I also think, I don't know, man. I feel like it would have been oversaturated if they did that back then. It seems weird to say.
Well,
but I feel like nowadays, like content is everything. So the more we can get, as long as it's good quality and it kind of ties in everything, people are happy with that. I feel like if there was a Star Wars movie every 2 years for like 15 years back then, I don't know if it would have worked. It's a different world.
I wonder how. Now Spance got me thinking here.
Spance.
I don't know why I went full goat there. Got me thinking. Let's say, like The Mandalorian is what I'm really focusing on. What if The Mandalorian was the only Star Wars thing that existed? How much of it would make sense still? How much of it? Because that's where my argument comes in, where it's all fan service. In certain episodes, that's heavy fan service. Let's just say that you take all that fan service away and just look at it as a story. I wonder how different it would feel.
Yeah.
Because you take away the fact that Ahsoka's a known badass, and you just throw in like, oh, this Jedi named Ahsoka just showed up. What the fuck does that mean? Who the fuck is Tarkin? Or Thrawn? Thank you. You take away the fan service stuff of it, and you're like, what's left? And I'm not saying is it shitty, is it good, is it bad? It's just I'm just posing the question because it's a good question. Thank you, Mopar. Thank you.
Yeah, I was watching one of those YouTubers that hate everything talk about stuff, and they were talking about the second of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, and when they name drop Khan, and he mentioned how that only means something because of all the other previous Star Trek stuff. Like in that little trilogy, that's not impactful whatsoever. Yeah. It only means something because Khan obviously had such a big role in the old movies. So it's that same kind of thing. But on the other hand, it's hard to really take that out of Star Wars existing though. Like it's built off of the backbone of everything. Yeah. They did it that way on purpose. Yeah. So I don't know. What a conundrum. Yeah. I think they have.
See, that was kind of my argument. I think that's a better way to ask my question.
Yeah.
That's what especially with that gunslinger, not the gunslinger, the sand dune guy with the Marshal. Thank you, Mopar. The Marshall episode where everywhere I looked, I believe me, I was happy. Everywhere I looked, it was like, hey, reference. Yeah. But you take all that away and make none of it mean anything. We're focusing in on a droid's back for no reason then. Instead of R4, hey, that's the same R4 from this one because you see it's the motivator burnt out. You take all the fan service away. Now we're just looking at a droid's head and you're like, oh, okay.
I guess. I mean, that's a really bad argument because they're
Let's-
just zooming in on the fact, show you the fact that the droid's malfunctioning. The same thing they did in episode 4.
No, it wasn't a completely. I mean, that's not how I took it. They zoomed in for fan service. There's no other reason why they would zoom in on that droid's head. They said, "Hey, look, you know him." That's exactly what they were doing.
Yes, maybe.
No, you are clouded judgments.
I am not clouded. There's no dark side around.
There
me.
is no dark
light side only, bro.
I am the cloud.
Well, go to your hatred of the Anakin pod racer speeder bike thing. Like, if you don't know anything about, if the other Star Wars stuff doesn't exist, that's just a cool looking,
And that's where I would like it. But because it's Anakin's pod racer, and we all know it's Anakin's pod racer, that was the issue I had. Look, guys, I like it.
You just went the opposite direction then on that one.
I know. Don't you love it? I'm in reverse right now. It's cool because believe me, I like the fan service, but when you overdo it and you take it all away, what does still exist there?
Yeah.
The Crate Dragon stuff, I still think makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, that's the beast of the episode. We got to kill the beast, regardless of where it's from. Clearly,
even Boba Fett's armor still makes sense in that episode.
Yeah. Yeah,
we know
agree.
it's Boba Fett's, but Din is just like, that's a Mandalorian suit. I need it back.
Yeah.
And he got it off some Jawas. So even that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. I agree. It's more asking the question. I think it is clarifying my reasoning for the disdain of the all the fan service stuff. But again, I'm a fan, so fucking service me up, baby.
Now I started thinking, because you said service so many times, I started thinking of like a gas station, like a service station, but it's just fan service. And you pull in and you get like some happy fucking Luke Skywalker X-Wings pumped into your brain. You're like, thanks, Disney. I've been serviced. And you take off. Great. Got my decade lead dose of Luke Skywalker. Time to move on.
Yeah. 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 It's always fun to ask questions and prod and pry. Yeah.
Always prodding and prying. Yeah, unfortunately, we'll never know a world without the previous Star Wars. However, what we can do is try to find somebody who's never seen any of them and introduce them to things and say, do you like that? Does it make sense?
Like an offspring.
I guess. That could be it.
That could work.
But I was saying this a couple episodes ago. Even that won't work, because by the time they're old enough to watch Star Wars and make sense of it, they'll already have absorbed everything from me just saying, oh yeah, Luke Skywalker's Darth Vader. Yeah. Luke Skywalker's Darth Vader's son. Sorry, I didn't finish that sentence.
I wonder if we pull a Papa Mopar and don't even mention anything. You have to wait for the kid to ask.
You think I'm going to spend 5 years not talk about Star Wars with my daughter? That cannot happen.
You know what's funny is that was actually one reason I'm going to tie this back into music now. We always grew up with the radio on. You'd hear music that you like, but you don't know it,
True.
And it finally got to the point where I went up and asked my dad. I was like, "Hey, what would be like cool albums that I would be like into?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're into." I was like, "Oh fuck, that's good reasoning." Like I don't. That's where he's like, "Here, you can list whatever." And I saw an Ozzy Osbourne. I was like, "I know that name, so I'm gonna pick an Ozzy CD." And I think it was like Blizzard of Oz. And then I picked up a Metallica CD, and it was Load.
Yeah.
I just went with it. But yeah, maybe we try to attempt.
That's a good point. I mean, that shit is going to be on the TV and stuff all the time, so like it'll be there. But yeah, until she like actively wants to like come and watch it.
Because otherwise you're forcing. Like watch this, I like it.
Right. Otherwise, it's just like the news is on TV or something.
Build this Millennium Falcon now before dinner.
Not this bullshit 4-year-old version, the real one, the $800 one. You can do that, right?
Darth Shamangan says, trying to introduce my lady, but she refuses. Yeah, I think people pride themselves on like, hey, look, I'm not nerdy. I've never seen Star Wars, and that means something. You're like,
yeah,
come on.
I've heard like 2 people that have never seen Game of Thrones, and it's like a point of pride. I'm like, all right, I guess it's the best show ever made.
I know. I can high five you if you want, but
you're only doing a disservice to yourself.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Fuck them.
People don't like to be forced into, and that I think that's probably why.
Hey, I say the same thing about the Beatles all the time. I hate the Beatles. So
Shots
whatever.
fired.
I'm guilty. Everyone has their
Guilty
own
as
thing.
charged.
Dewey Cox is the best musician of all time. Can we talk about that, please?
What does your mom say about me?
Mr. Time Magazine?
Mr. Tom Magazine. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it's we're all into our own things. I say the same shit. However, I am always eager to. I like to be introduced to new universes and franchises and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always open. So I guess if I find out that Game of Thrones is the best TV show ever made and everyone loves it, I would probably be curious to try it out instead of just immediately shitting on it because everyone else loves it. But I have listened to the Beatles and I really don't care about their songs about octopuses.
I'm right there with you. I hate saying it, but because I do think influential wise, absolutely. But you go back and you're like, what is this about?
Yeah.
They're barely playing instruments right now. Like, is this a song anymore? What the fuck is happening?
Oh, people hate us.
The Beatles are saints.
The Beatles are saints. Get out of here. They were just on drugs for 6 years.
Yeah. No, and I don't hate people that like the Beatles. Yeah. Do what you want.
You're fine, but the rest of them guys.
Oh man.
I'm just kidding. It's
Mostly.
fine. Don't get
Mostly.
mad.
Just don't listen to them around me, or I turn into a fucking raging Wookiee until there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
It's weird. It's weird how that happens because like everyone that was influenced by the Beatles is great. Like I think it is very closely tied to some of our favorite, like Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. One of his favorite things of all time is the Beatles, and it's like,
yeah,
how
that just
Ozzy?
keeps going back though. I mean,
It's true. It's true.
You go back to. It depends how far back you want to go. Start of Metallica, then you go back to Black Sabbath, you go back to Led Zeppelin, you go back to the Beatles, you go back to Elvis, you go back to like Chuck Berry, you go back to jazz.
It's all a part of it.
And then who's the guy that sold his soul to the devil? Robert Johnson.
Robert
really
Downey
everything
Jr.
comes from Robert Johnson if you want to get real crazy about it.
Yeah.
And then you go back to Beethoven.
Beethoven.
There you go. It's all Beethoven.
Cool. Well, we're done with this shit. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Thanks everybody.
We are still not actively trying to get through the Mando commentaries.
Yep.
So keep your eyes out for that. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week. Cancel it.
I just wanted a reason to extend this podcast even more.
What?
You know what I've been thinking about this whole Beatles thing, and
I've come around to it.
I've come around to it. I like them very much. I'm gonna start a Beatles podcast.
The Beatles. Yeah, it's weird how bad they are.
Okay, we'll start the podcast.
I appreciate it.
All right, it's enough.
It's funny. It's weird because I don't know too many people that agree with me on the Beatles thing. I'm surprised you do. It's not that I hate them. It's like I don't know. It doesn't really do anything for me. There's some good songs, like well written songs. But even in those well written songs, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not.